Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Thank you for joining us on ShuraTV with the Prison Outreach Program series. And we're just so excited and delighted to have with us today one of the giants and pioneers working more than 49 years behind the scenes in the jails and prisons across the southern part of the United States. Imam Abdul Malik Saafir has retired, and we want to be able to just to allow him to share his journey, to share what it has meant for him to serve Islam in one of the most impactful ways, establishing this religion in this country, in this society, in this culture, by being a chaplain, molding the thousands of men that Allah blessed him to be able to touch their lives, those who were Muslims and not Muslims, because he touched all those lives when he was there, being the person handling their pastoral concerns, their religious rights. He was there. Imam, I know you were saying that your beginning was in 1973.
Yeah, 1973. To continue on that conversation we were having, it started in 1973, my journey in volunteering to go into the prisons. My first experience with the prisons was really up under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings during that particular time. We were going into the prison system. I had just got out of the military, and I was stationed up in Washington State. And my first experience was going into a prison called Walla Walla and also McNeil Island. And at that time, the administrator at that time was up under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was George McNeil, who is known as, he was an attorney up there also, and he's known in the Southern California today as Attorney Becker. And so we were going inside the prisons then with another minister up under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's name was Minister Herschel. And Herschel and George McNeil, they were the two forces up in the northeast corner of the map, which was known as Washington State. And so from that point on, we were doing the dawah there, and also the dawah on the Air Force and the Army post, which was called, what was the name of that post? It's right next door to Fort Lewis. That's what it was, Fort Lewis. Fort Lewis and McCord Air Force Base were right next door to each other. So we were doing a lot of dawah there. And there was a brother that accepted Islam. His name was Brother David, which is now Dawood Mateen. And we all came up under that particular teachings during that particular time. I came back home in the end of 1973 and continued it up under Earl Shaw. In 1974, I was volunteering going into and that was with a brother named Brother Eugene, and he was also the lead baker at the Shabazz Bakery over there on Avalon, right across the street from Fremont High School. Also, the Dawah program picked up with Imam Abdul when he came to Los Angeles in 1971. The dawah inside the prisons, him and Earl Shaw would travel back and forth up and down the road. So it wasn't 33 prisons back then. I think it was only, maybe 3.
Wow.
And so at that particular time, it was handling Chino, Folsom, and San Quentin. During this period of time, and right now I think it's 33 state prisons in the state of California. So my dawah continued going into the prison systems even into the 80s, and I kind of backed off in the 90s. At that time, I was volunteering going to CRC up under a brother named Naeem Alameen, and may Allah forgive him his sins, and may Allah accept him in paradise.
Ameen.
And one day in the 90s, I think it was in 98 or 99, Imam John Fakir had asked me one day, he says, why don't you come and help in the prison system, brother? You know, this is part of the leadership program. And so I said, well, I'll think about it, because at the time I was working with, it was RTD at one point, and they changed the name to MTA. So I did 23 years with them, and after I retired from them in 1999, I just happened to go to the masjid one day and did a little prayer. And Imam Hassan had asked me one day, we were coming in, I think it was coming in to pay some zakat. He said, Abdul Malik, he said, you still want to work in this prison? I said, yeah. He said, here, take this number and call this prison number, because they bugging me and they need somebody out there. I said, okay. So I took that number and I called that number, and there was a lady, she was over the regional recruitment for the delegation for the state of California. I can't think of her last name. Deborah Davis or Deborah Dodson, one of those two. But I contacted her, and she asked me to come in. I was interviewed that particular day and was hired on the spot. And it was in December of 1999. But I told her, I said, look, I can't start until January 2000. So she said, well, that's good. She said, well, will you need a week or so? I said, yeah, I need at least 2 weeks. So on January the 19th, 2000, that's when I started working. And my first job was at Calipatra State Prison. Yeah.
That's one of the high level of security. How did you find that experience being a full-time chaplain? It's different than being a volunteer.
Yes. At that particular time, there was a warden there. Her name was, her last name was Rose. I'm trying to think of her. Oh, Rose Garcia. That was her name, Rose Garcia. We had a meeting with, it was a social warden named Miss Houston, and there was her and Debbie and the warden got together. They said, look, we got to have you here full time. I said, well, no problem. He said, well, this is a part-time position, but we want you to accept this full-time position, because we're going to need you here full-time. It was a level 4 prison, so I said, okay, fine. It was really good to start, but it was so far from the house. It was two and a half hours away, and when it rained, that road there was dips in the road going out to Calipat, and it would flood sometimes because it was so far that it was below sea level, and so I accepted the job. But I never knew it would get 114 degrees out there. And so what happened was I accepted the job, and I was going there every day. Level 4s is no play thing, and it's totally different from volunteering, because you're there 8 to 10 hours a day. And being a chaplain, I found in my experience, that is something that you would have to do. You have to be a special person to work in an institution, because you go in there every day, and when you go in there every day, you become a prisoner yourself, because inside that prison you have what is called a policy, and that policy is different from the policies on the outside. So your freedom is taken away too at the same time, because you got to abide by the rules, the regulations, and the policy while you're inside that institution. You can't just do what you want to do inside of a prison. You can set up programs, but those programs have to be in accordance with the policy of the state of California. and I'm finding out that that's all over wherever you go, and you're a chaplain inside of any type of institution, whether it's military or whatever. You're always going to have some type of policy. So it doesn't limit the Islamic growth and development; it enhances it, because Islam you can adapt anywhere. You know, you can adapt. Matter of fact, you can't leave this way of life at home. It travels with you. And so that was one of the things I tried to instill into the inmates also at the same time, because they're inside of a box. And I used to tell them, I said, once you get outside of this box or this swimming pool, you're going to come into an ocean where there's everything in the ocean. And some is on the surface and some is in the deep sea where you can't see it. And then when you do see it, the nature of the things that's on the surface that you see is totally different from the way that you see it if you go deeper. So I would use the ocean on two levels, and I would tell them, once you get out on the streets, you can't leave this home. You have to take Islam with you wherever you go. It's portable, and it's also transitional, where you can transport it. It's like you can't take this off. It's a part of your life, and you should always reflect that. So,
what would you say were some of your, high points or the highlights, of your career working with the men in the different prisons?
My highlights, some of the highlights in my life, is seeing the brothers get out and still continue to practice the way that they were practicing inside of the institution, but in a larger environment with a family. They can see the human family, and that's one of the highlights. And to keep in communication with them, and to continue to help them aspire to the best that they could be with what they have, and to enhance their religious rights and freedoms, and to also enhance their ability to learn more, not just to say this is it. One of the highlights that I used to use with the inmates is that when the revelation was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it told him the angel Jibril told him to read, and as well as I do, the Quran of 114 surahs was not revealed yet. And so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, read what? What am I to read? And the revelation came, read in the name of your Lord who created you. And so we're supposed to be reading the signs in nature. When you see the ants, the trees, a bird, all this should come into our minds is, what is the message that's being said to me? Because everything is an ayah, everything is a sign. So when we are conscious of these signs and we read them, Allah will reveal to us the meaning of those surahs or those ayats that we are passing by all the time, because it can also relate to the verses or the ayats in the Quran. And that's what's so beautiful about this highlight of my life.
Mm-hmm. What would you say were some of the challenges that you faced in the different situations that presented themselves working with the men inside of the prisons?
Yeah, well, working with the men inside of the prison wasn't so much a problem. The main problem that I incurred while I was working there was mostly with the custody, because in the custody's mind, they have a certain way of presenting themselves, as that I run this and I can shut this down if I want to. That was one of the main things. So you have to be very careful, and you have to go in making friends and not enemies. When you surround yourself with good people, Allah says that He would introduce you to these good, as well as the people that in my situation, there were people that on the custody side that did not like Islam. I didn't take that they didn't like me. They didn't like the message that I was bringing. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he encouraged these things too, but he also maintained that kindness. There was a woman that he passed by. This hadith says that there was a woman that he passed by every day, and she would throw trash in front of him or either on him, and he kept the peace. And one day he missed that trash being thrown upon him, and he inquired about this woman. How is she? Where is she? And he had missed her, so he went to visit. And that same woman, later on during the period of time, she converted to Islam. So it's how we conduct ourselves. It's how the shaitan has little things to take us off the course. But if we remain steady and be on the course, and this course is not an easy course to stay on, because every day that you're going to be challenged, and your intellect is going to be challenged, your integrity is going to be challenged. And it's not that you are afraid, but you're always trying to find a way to get to the human part of that individual or that thing that's in your way. And so all my mostly people who were the obstacles in my later part of working with the state of California, they became my friends. And they even told me, they said, man, I don't know how you stood this pressure for all this time. You've been working here. I said, man, God is good. Allah is good, and He loves good. That's what I would say. And every day, I don't care how it was, I would speak to everybody in entering the prison and coming out of the prison, whether it was inmates, whether it was staff or custody. And so one day this officer asked me, he said, man, how you maintain to be happy like that all the time? The inmates sometimes nasty, and some of the staff is nasty. And he said, how do you do that? And I said, man, I started calling his name, but I don't want to call his name. And I said, how I maintain that is that I look at this one way. I always tell people that I was blessed to get up, and how you said, it was, how you doing? I said, man, I'm doing great. I got another day on top of the ground. That's what I would tell them. And every moment in your lifespan is precious, and you don't want to go through life having some type of anger or setback, or you worried about this yesterday, what happened yesterday. It's a new day. So every day is a beginning. It's a new day to me, because I've been resurrected and got another chance to either pray for that soul that has a problem, or pray for the souls that preceded me in our transition, and then pray for us to this day in the present time. So prayers are very important, and they keep you stable and keep you on the course. And sometimes Shaitan will try to get in the way to make you neglect that keeps you conscious. So I would pray walking, standing. As the Quran says, if you're sitting, pray. So I did that, and that's what got me through these level 4s and level 3s. And in my final journey towards this retirement that I so much enjoy, alhamdulillah. And I say that because I started working when they were actually taking the taxes out of your fund. I started working at 14 and a half years old, and I never have stopped. So I added up all the time if I retired, including with this job, MTA, and the other jobs that I had before the military time. I added that up, and it came to 55 years. And I'm like, wow, alhamdulillah, I did 55 years of working. and I'm 69 now, so I'm like, what a blessing. Is what it really is. It's a blessing to reach this point and enjoy the moments. And I call them moments because life is fleeting. It's like a fleeting moment. You know, we're here today and we're going tomorrow. But I want to enjoy some of these benefits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided for us. And it's so happy to.
And we want to just thank you so much for your service for Islam. And, you know, before concluding, I wanted to ask you, from the perspective, you know, as you mentioned, there are some people, staff members or whatever, that had a negative attitude towards Islam. But have you seen a change in how Muslims and Islam is being accepted in the prison system over, these 40-something years? I mean, now, as you have concluded your, internal work there, do you see that there's, more openness today, so that there is more opportunities for the community to come in and volunteer and to continue to serve? You see people still coming into Islam at high levels, or just where do you see that?
Yes, I've seen in my time, I've seen staff even accept Islam while they were there, and it really surprised me because there was a lot of officers there that when they seen what I was going through and how I handled myself, they came to me and they said, I'm Muslim. Really? You could have fooled me, because it's not mentioned, it's not shown, and I can call some of their names, but I don't want to do that. But it's at least 4 of them officers that were Muslims. It was 2 staff members that were Muslims. But I didn't know that until they came and told me after you establish yourself and you hear the kind words of other people saying, say, well, yeah, I don't know how you're going through that, and blah, blah, blah. So they would come to me and say, I know what you're going through. I'm Muslim to myself. Really? Alhamdulillah, it's a blessing. I'm glad to know that, But I've seen that in the inmates also. Inmates would come and they hear the Talim services that I gave. And they would come to Jummah, and then we'd see how the Muslims were behaving. And so when we see that how the Muslims are behaving, I would tell them that's your nature. That's everybody's nature. And all you have to do is turn within yourself. And when you turn within yourself, you'll see that natural ability. Once you, it's like an orange. I heard this Imam speaking on this. He said, if you had a banana, is that the real banana that they hand you, or the orange that they really hand you? No, you have to peel it to get to the real fruit. That's the banana inside of the shell. So the real life is not the shell that we have. The real life is in this nafs that Allah created. So we have to bring that into the true reality, and how we do that is that submitting that to the will of your Creator who created you. And we call him Allah. And so that's the most beautiful thing, and I appreciate this time that you gave me to come in and share these brief and fleeting moments. And to have this history recorded on this journey that we're all on. And I thank the producer and everyone that captures these moments that are very necessary or essential for now and in the future for this recording. Like you said earlier, it's from the individual's mouth we get a chance to hear, and not only hear but see.
That's right.
This fleeting moment of history.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much.
I want to thank our brother Imam Abdul Malik Saafir, recently retired from the California Department of Corrections after serving more than 22 years, but after serving more than 49 years of going in and out of jails and prisons throughout this country. I'd like to thank all of our listeners and followers of ShuraTV, and to continue to support us and to support this work, this effort that we're making as a community, to not forget those behind the walls of jails and prisons and detention facilities. Many of them, seeking guidance, and alhamdulillah, because of what you do in supporting us to provide Qur'ans and other materials, people discover the beauty of Allah's message and they enter into His faith. But again, we wanted to share one of those who have been in the trenches behind the scenes for all of these years, giving of himself, and so that you would be able to see the face and hear the voice, of one of the pioneers. We've lost so many that we didn't have the opportunity to capture their words in the flesh, and so we know of them. But when we can now be able to actually capture the faces and the voices and let you get a chance to experience the history of Islam, in America as it continues to blossom and to grow, and that this is not something new. To hear that he, for over 49 years, has gone into the jails and prisons representing Islam is just the tip of the iceberg, that how long Islam has been brought to those behind the bars. This is not a new thing, but we as a community have newly joined in to do the supporting that we can do. So again, thank you for supporting ShuraTV. Follow us, subscribe to us, and inshallah, may Allah bless you and your families, and join us again with upcoming series as we speak with chaplains, as administrators, and those who formerly have been incarcerated. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.